Hi there, I'm Christina Green. I'm the Chief Advancement and External Relations Officer for the Children's Advocacy Centers of Texas, or CAC Texas, and I'm testifying in support of both House Bill 748 and Senate Bill 835. And CAC Texas represents the 70 Children's Advocacy Centers, or CACs, across the state. You all have them in your district, and we collectively serve over 60,000 new child victims of crime every year. The majority of those are survivors of child sexual abuse. And we coordinate and facilitate the joint investigation, both on the civil and criminal sides in these cases. And very grateful for the stories of the survivors that you heard from this morning and that you will hear from later on this panel. And want to emphasize that while their stories are difficult and hard to listen to, they are not unique. And we have so many children walking through the doors of our children's advocacy centers every year and every day, quite frankly, across the state that share similar stories, that have the similar threads of secrecy and grooming and people that they love and trust that have violated that love and trust. And those are just the cases that both a child outcries and then they're reported to law enforcement or DFPS. We know in Texas that 1 in 6 children will be impacted by child sexual abuse before their 18th birthday. With over 7 million children in the state of Texas, that is a colossal number of children that are impacted. And if we are working as a state to support these children and make sure they have a chance at healing and thriving, and also maintaining public safety in our communities, we need to make sure that we are creating an environment in which there is no secrecy in these cases, and that we are equipping our law enforcement and prosecution partners to fully investigate these cases to the fullest extent of the law, so that we can remove these perpetrators from our communities, from our institutions and our schools, to make sure that we're preventing future abuse from happening, because we also know that these perpetrators will perpetrate on the same children multiple times and other children until they are caught and held accountable. And so this bill is incredibly important, and that we're bringing this issue further out of the shadows. Elizabeth this morning spoke to the fact that creating an environment where we know that survivors will be believed and listened to is paramount. And also, in order for your investment in children's advocacy centers to make the change that it's supposed to get at the truth, Senator Birdwell, of what has or has not happened, because our model was actually founded in a lot of cases where there were false allegations. And we needed to make sure that we were talking to children in a neutral, fact-finding, evidence-based manner. But in order for them to tell their stories, we need people to feel comfortable coming forward, and NDAs prohibit that as a culture, as a society. And so we need to continue to bring this issue out of the shadows and into the light, and continue having conversations about it and supporting our victims, and then also being there for the healing process. At CACs, you all as a state fund our mental health services, and we serve those children throughout the duration of their cases and even into adulthood should they need our services. And oftentimes we're serving the caregivers. I can't tell you how many times that I will speak at a hearing or somewhere else, and I have adults that come up to me and say, I've never told anyone this, but I'm a survivor. And that emphasizes the beauty of the House version of this bill, because it does not have an age limitation. And we know that there are a lot of adults that do not outcry of child sexual abuse until they are well into adulthood as well. Thank you for your support, and thank you so much for prioritizing this issue and supporting child survivors of sexual abuse.
Thank you for your testimony. Senator Parker, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, thank you for your testimony, and thank you for all the great work that CACs do. And I've been blessed over the years to work with the organization, and I think the world of what it does. I'd like to ask just a question about frequency. Appreciate your moral clarity, just like I'm so grateful for the Catholic Church having such moral clarity on this issue today and being supportive. How frequently, when you're seeing some of these horrific cases of these precious kids that have been abused, clearly, it's gone beyond the doubt that it occurred, very clearly documented and so forth. How frequently are you seeing over the course of the last decade across the state, all your different tentacles of the CACs, how often are you seeing these kinds of disgusting NDAs being utilized to get involved in really protecting predators, is how I view it. Can you speak to that for a moment from your perspective?
Great question, Senator Parker, and the answer is we don't know because they can't talk about them. You know, in our cases, generally there's going to be a criminal offense and criminal component. So there is a criminal trial and investigation in which they are cooperating with law enforcement, and that's we want those families and children to be engaged in the investigatory process because then we have the information to move that case forward. However, if there's a civil NDA, we would not be aware of it because they can't speak to it.
Boy, isn't that sad? But yeah, and it's prolific, unfortunately, but obviously they're effective,
Yes.
sadly. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.